Is Valentine's a pagan holiday? Should Christians celebrate Valentine's? Did Valentine's begin with the Saint Valentine? Let's dive into this topic. As Valentine's is around the corner, we have to go back a little bit to the history of Roman Empire and the holiday that they had celebrating what they call it Lupercalia, which some Christians think, and some historians even say that that is what became the Valentines, and therefore the Valentines has deep satanic and demonic roots. But if you take a closer look and read enough of historical background, you will see a few things about Lupercalia. It was actually pretty pagan and really terrible, crazy holiday, festival. Lupercalia, which was celebrated on February the 15th, it was a Roman festival that was instituted by Romulus, which is one of the founders of Rome, and was held in honor of Lupercus, which was the god of fertility and the god of shepherds. Now, the festival was associated with the purification of the city and was thought to have had roots in pre-Roman pagan rituals. During the festival, young men would gather and sacrifice goats and dogs in the cave of Lupercal. Now, the blood of the animals was then smeared on the strips of goat skins, and then these young men would run through the streets of Rome, striking women with the goat skins dipped in blood. Now, later on, it was believed that this were to bring fertility and good luck to the women who were being struck. Weird. But, there's a lot of other pagan rituals and festivals that are weird. Now, Lupercalia was actually a time of loose sexual perversion, feasting, nudity. It was associated with celebration of love and fertility, but it was more focused on actual fertility for goats than humans. It was later on that it was believed that if women would be hit with the goat skins, that it will improve their chances of having kids. There's actually no record of this holiday being a matchmaking that Valentine's has become today, or that it promoted romance or love. Romans had other gods of eros and sex and all of this stuff, and those gods were not necessarily mentioned or celebrated on this holiday. Times have an article, and I have a link below, you can read it, where they quote some historians that say that there is no record of men being paired randomly with women for participation in the ritual, and that the math of the idea doesn't make sense anyway. The number of women must have been much greater than that of men. And they are saying that the amount of young men running around with goat skin dipped in blood were not many. This wasn't something that every man participated in. Therefore, this thing that Lupercalia is somehow morphed into Valentine's is not historically accurate. Brings me to the second most asked questions: is the Valentine's Day originated or came forth because of Saint Valentine? Now, Saint Valentine served in the 3rd century Rome. Emperor Claudius decided that a single man would be made better soldiers, and therefore Claudius banned soldiers from being married. There's a tale that says that one version of this is that Valentine continued to perform weddings for young soldiers who were in love. And Emperor Claudius had Valentine imprisoned. While he was in prison, Valentine reportedly fell in love with the jailer's daughter, and she was blind, and then she was healed, and I guess he sent her a letter and that signed, "Love, your Valentine." There's different versions of kind of a similar story of Valentine defying the Claudius by helping Christians to escape the torture of Romans. So there's actually like 3 different versions. Some of them are very similar, and Valentine gets executed approximately 270 AD. Later on, Pope Gelasius I in the 5th century made February 14 into a day that would honor Christian martyr Saint Valentine. Now, the interesting part is that there is no evidence that the pagan holiday of Lupercalia influenced the Pope to make February 14th into a Valentine's Day to fight the Roman pagan holiday. Now, this Pope was very outspoken against the pagan holidays, but it does not seem like that the church took the Roman holiday and converted it or Christianized it into a holiday of love. We just don't see throughout the centuries after that Christians celebrating love and romance in honor of February 14th. This had to do more with a saint being martyred for the cause of Christ, the cause of, defying the emperor, than love, romance, or what we know February 14th to be. Where most likely Valentine's celebration have come from, it probably was influenced by the Saint Valentine. Where most likely the Valentine's Day morphed into where we see today, it probably maybe started with the Saint Valentine, but we just don't see for 1,000-something years Christians or other cultures really celebrating love and romance in honor of Saint Valentine. We see that there was a poem that was written by this guy named Geoffrey. The poem was called The Parliament of Fowls. It probably had more influence on what we know the Valentine's Day to be today than anything else. It was written in the 14th century. It described a group of birds which would gather together in the early spring to Saint Valentine's Day. A poem was written in the late 14th century. It describes a group of birds which would gather together in the early spring to choose their mates for the year. Now, later on, people started to send letters, love letters, during the bird mating season, and it just happened to be also on February 14th, and it kind of remained that name. The name stayed with Valentine's Day. And then Shakespeare also wrote in his plays about the Valentine's Day being a day about love and romance and etc. Saint Valentine's Day has been acknowledged as a minor holiday to Christians in the Americas since the arrival of Christopher Columbus and the arrival of Christianity in 1492. Now, when Valentines became popular in the United States was in 1840, and the person that kind of made it popular was Esther Howland. Now, she acknowledged that she is named as the mother of American Valentine. At the age of 19, Esther received an European Valentine card from a friend. She loved the card and was inspired to bring this custom to the United States. Fortunately, she was in a great position because of the wealth in her family to start a company that started to create these cards, and now it's like a regular thing that so many people do on the February 14th. They write love notes, or they write love cards to their spouses, girlfriends, or to the person that they are romantically connected with. They also buy gifts and etc. Now, to end this video with, should Christians celebrate or participate in the Valentine's Day? There is no biblical reason why Christians should not celebrate the Valentine's Day. Historically speaking, it's actually not connected to a Roman pagan holiday. And historically speaking, it's not really connected to a guy who was martyred. I don't think those two things, they connect. If you read most of or a lot of historical records, they don't seem to connect, unlike other events like Christmas and even Easter. But I think there's nothing wrong with giving your loved one flowers, candy, or cards. Honestly, celebrating any holiday that doesn't go against the scripture is a decision between an individual and the Lord. Some people feel very strongly that observing any secular holiday like 4th of July or Valentine's Day is wrong, and others see it as harmless. I think the real question is your motive and also what you're doing on that holiday. If you're a single person and you're drinking yourself to death because you feel so miserable, then yeah, this is wrong. Or maybe you're a single person and you're fornicating, that's also wrong. For us as Christians, it's something I think we need to rally around, the idea that we do celebrate love. Not love like the world defines it, where everything is love and love is love. Our definition of love is it's unselfish, sacrificial giving of oneself for another person. The Christian commandments is love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And the second commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. That's Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through verse 30. As Christians, we understand that love is not sex. Love is not a feeling. Apostle Paul actually gives a very beautiful definition of love. It's not candy and buying, bears and cubits and, love notes. Love, Paul says, suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up. Love does not behave rudely. It does not seek its own. It's not provoked. It thinks no evil. It does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whatever things, there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will fail. Whether there's knowledge, it will vanish away. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. See, love is not sex. Sex could be an expression, but it's not a creator of love. Love is not selfish. It doesn't cost you. If it doesn't cost you anything, it's not love. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. And also, love is not a feeling. Feelings could be a fruit of love, but it's not love itself. Love is the value, respect, worth, importance, honor, admiration, reverence, high esteem, devotion that you place on another person. How you honor and value another person. Now, my personal stance on this whole Valentine's Day, I don't see anything wrong to celebrate, honor, and to give special attention to my wife. Because the Bible says in Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wife, just as Christ loved the church and gave Himself for her. Now, I am not running around with goat's blood, or hitting my wife or anything of that sort, nor am I going around and honoring Saint Valentine. I respect for whoever he was. We don't for sure know who the guy was, but somehow he was so important that that this Pope decided to give a whole holiday to honor this guy. And I hope one day I'll meet him in heaven and really hear his story. But I think for a Christian to husband, to romance, to love, provide affection, give a card, and special attention to your spouse, I think it's a good thing. And you don't have to do it on the February 14th. I would actually encourage you maybe not to do it on the February 14th because all the restaurants are booked out. You can't buy the flowers on the February 14th and all of the stuff, but you can do it on some other day. It doesn't honestly matter as long as you give special attention and honor and celebration of the person that you love in the name of Jesus and to honor Jesus. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to celebrate the Valentine's Day? If so, why? If you're not going to celebrate, what is your reason for not celebrating the Valentine's Day? If you are single, what do you do on the Valentine's Day? Share in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. Hey, if this was helpful for you, consider subscribing. Hit like to this video. It will just mean a lot to me and it will help us expose it to more people, some of the teachings and short exhortations that we provide on a regular basis. Thank you.